Here is everything you need to know to play Enhancement Shaman in both Mythic Plus and Raid after our update in patch 11.05. If you want to pick up an Enhancement Shaman, now is the best time. Personally, this is one of my favorite iterations of the spec since it brings us back to using my favorite ability in the game, Storm Strike. And even after our 6% nerf, we will still be a top performing spec in both Mythic Plus and Raid. Now, Enhancement is all about building up your Maelstrom with our generators and then spending it to deal massive damage in both single target and AoE, or to keep yourself alive and or support your group. First, I'm going to highlight just the key talent changes that came in the patch that are used in the builds I'm about to show you. Make sure to read through all of your talents though to better understand the spec. The class tree received one major change and a small nerf. That is Poison Cleansing Totem. It is now on a 2-minute cooldown. Stormbringer is still the top performing hero talent for Enhancement. Totemic received a massive update and is performing much better than it previously was. This video though will be focused on the Stormbringer builds, but if you are interested in a Totemic guide, let me know in the comments below. The hero tree received 2 updated talents, which makes the spec flow much better. Supercharge is now on a choice node, which has a 35% chance to refund 2 Maelstrom after casting Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, or Tempest. Arc Discharge is now a single charge and will increase the damage of your next Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning and cast it twice. Our spec tree receives some new abilities and a lot of changes to already existing talents. Ice Strike is now a choice node where you can choose between the standard Ice Strike or one that can proc from spending Maelstrom and turn Frost Shock into Ice Strike. Doom Winds has been updated to now also deal AoE damage around you while it's active. Storm Blast has been reworked to now also give Storm Strike an additional charge. This also grants Wind Strike an additional charge when we are in Ascendance, which is freaking huge. Volcanic Blaze is a new talent which gives Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning a chance to turn your next Flame Shock into Volcanic Blaze, which will deal AoE damage, generate a Maelstrom, and apply Flame Shock to 5 nearby targets. Flowing Spirits is also a new talent added to create a choice node after Feral Spirits. This passive replaces Feral Spirits and gives your abilities a chance to spawn a Feral Spirit for 8 seconds. This talent is currently performing really well in AoE and will be in our Mythic Plus builds. Thorum's Invocation had an update, so now it also reduces the cooldown of Ascendance by 1 minute, making Ascendance just a 2-minute cooldown now. With this update and Storm Blast update, the spec feels so freaking good to play. Now, here's our Mythic Plus base build, and you'll be able to find the import codes for all the builds I'm about to show you in the description below, along with dungeon specific codes so you can ensure you're bringing the right utility. And while you're down there, make sure you punch that like button, kiss that subscribe button, and tickle my bell to be the first to see when new guides and challenge videos drop. Now, this new build is all about spamming Storm Strike, maintaining your buffs and dots while spending Maelstrom like Thrall himself. A talent I want to point out in this base build on the class side that I personally think can be a personal preference is Guardian's Cudgel. I like the follow-up stun effect that it offers, especially in this season where every caster will instantly start casting again, making it a great option in pugs when you don't really know if people are going to kick or not. You'll see most builds run Static Charge though, which helps reduce the cooldown of Cat Totem and help you get more off per run. We will now take Totemic Recall in most Mythic Plus builds so that we can use Poison Cleansing Totem more often. You'll also find a macro for resetting key totems with Totemic Recall in the description. Now, if you're pushing higher keys and are in need of more single target damage in Mythic Plus, then this is the build for you. Drop Sundering and Volcanic Blaze to pick up Ice Strike for an additional single target filler ability, and grab the follow-up talent Swirling Maelstrom so that we can still get to the Storm Flurry talent. For our raid single target build, we'll drop some of those must-have AoE talents to pick up strong fillers like Volcanic Blaze and Hailstorm. You'll notice in raid we take standard Feral Spirits with Witch Doctor's Ancestry. Currently, Flowing Spirit seems to perform better in Mythic Plus since it is more more RNG and tends to proc more in AoE. This could very well change after more testing, so make sure to join the community Discord to stay up to date with the builds. For raid encounters that require Cleave, we'll take those AoE talents back like Crash Lightning to ensure we get that sweet pump. In AoE openers, you'll run into two scenarios: times where you don't have Tempest and times where you do have Tempest. If you're towards the very end of a pull and mobs have sub 5% HP and you have a Tempest charge ready, just hold it for the next pull and cast a Chain Lightning. To start off your opener without Tempest, you will cast Flame Shock on a target, then switch targets and cast Primordial Wave. Once in melee, cast Crash Lightning followed by a Lava Lash so you can spread that Flame Shock. Next, you will pop Ascendance and cast Wind Strike. If Tempest procs, cast it to use the Primordial Wave charge and follow it up with a Chain Lightning once you're at 5 Maelstrom. If it doesn't pop, cast Doom Winds and follow our Ascendance priority. Use Tempest whenever it's up. If it's not, spam Wind Strike. If Wind Strike is on cooldown, use Chain Lightning to spend that Maelstrom. Make sure to maintain your Crash Lightning buff during your Ascendance. If Tempest doesn't proc before you're about to lose your Primordial Wave buff, make sure you just send out a little lightning bolt so you can spread those lightning rods, and make sure to then cast a Chain Lightning again if Tempest is still not up so that your Wind Strike continues to cast Chain Lightning. Your Ascendance form is now smart, so if you cast Tempest while in Ascendance and Tempest hits 2 or more targets, Wind Strike will continue to cast Chain Lightning, and if it only hits 1 target, it will cast Lightning Bolts. It helps to tab target while in Ascendance when you cast Wind Strike to keep spreading Lightning Rods. You will miss out on a lot of damage in AoE by not spreading your Lightning Rod. With Tempest going into an AoE opener, it will just speed up the process a bit. You'll do the same Flame Shock, swap targets, and Primordial Wave, followed by a Crash Lightning and Lava Lash. If Ascendance is up, you will use it, followed by Tempest, Wind Strike, Doom Winds, then the Ascendance rotation. If you don't have Ascendance up, you will skip it and use Tempest, followed by your standard priority rotation, which is at 8 or more Maelstrom, spend it on Tempest. If Tempest is not ready, use Chain Lightning. Don't have 8 or more Maelstrom to spend, spam Storm Strike, since this is your best Maelstrom generator and you will spend most of your time spamming it. Make sure to maintain your Crash Lightning buff. If that's maintained and Storm Strike is on cooldown, use Volcanic Blaze if it's available. If not, Ice Strike if it's talented, or Lava Lash. Then if everything is on cooldown and you're out of Maelstrom, which rarely happens, use Sundering. Or you can always use Sundering to interrupt a cast. There are 2 things that will impact your AoE damage, and that is not maintaining Crash Lightning's buff and not tab targeting when spending Maelstrom to spread your lightning rods. Now, when it comes to cooldowns, you'll want to always use Ascendance and Doom Winds together. Since Doom Winds is on a 60-second cooldown, you will use it together once, then once by itself. When it comes to Primordial Wave in AoE, you will only use it when you have Tempest available. This is so you can apply Lightning Rod to all targets with Flame Shock, then hit a big juicy Chain Lightning. Before I show you the AoE opener into the standard rotation, very quickly let me explain my UI so you know what you're looking at. Here are my buffs, along with if the target has Lightning Rod and the amount of wolves I have out. These are my core abilities. This is my Maelstrom. Here's my Crash Lightning buff. And lastly, here's my current DPS and the most recent ability I casted. If you like this WeakAura, it is Luxos's class WeakAura, which he makes for all classes and specs. I highly recommend using them, and you can find a link to it in the description below. This is the single target opener. In Raid, you'll want to precast an Elemental Blast during the pull timer. This isn't something you'll probably be able to do in Mythic Plus. Follow that up with a Primordial Wave, Storm Strike, and then release the Feral Spirits. Pop Ascendance and hit Wind Strike, then use Doom Winds. Then begin doing your Ascendance priority of spamming Wind Strike and casting Tempest. If either of those aren't available, spend your Maelstrom on Elemental Blast with 4 or more Wolves out or a Lightning Bolt. After Ascendance, you will follow your single target priority, starting out with Tempest being available and spending it at 10 Maelstrom if possible. Otherwise, use it at 5+. If Tempest is not up and you have 4 or more Wolves out, use your Elemental Blast. If you don't have 4 or more Wolves out, use Lightning Bolt. And if you're concerned about using Elemental Blast and when to use it, I've added another WeakAuras below that will light up so you know when to use Elemental Blast. Now, what do you do if you don't have Maelstrom to spend? Well, just spam Storm Strike. If Storm Strike is on cooldown and Volcanic Blaze is available, use it. If it's not, you will use Ice Strike. At this point, if Storm Strike is still not off cooldown, you will use Frost Shock. Then, if Storm Strike is still on cooldown, you will use your Lava Lash. When it comes to cooldowns, Ascendance is the big one, and you will always want to use Ascendance with Doom Winds, exactly like our AOE Rotation. You'll use them together once, then send a Doom Winds alone while you wait for your next Ascendance. When it comes to Feral Spirits and Primordial Wave, you want to keep these on cooldown and use them within a global or 2 of them coming off of cooldown. Now here is the single target opener into its standard rotation. Before we head out, I want to let you know what our stat focus is, and it is haste, mastery, then crit. Agility is the most important stat though, so early on when you're gearing, just worry about item level. And with defensives at an all-time high of importance, I want to break them down for you so you know how to use them. Astral Shift is your main defensive, reducing all damage taken by 30%. Stone Bulwark is an absorb shield that is fairly strong in low to mid-range difficulty content, but falls off pretty hard at higher end. This doesn't mean it's useless, but if it used to save you to a mechanic in a +7, it may not be doing that in a +10 or a 12. Earth Elemental is the world's greatest off-tank and gives us a 15% HP boost, and with some talents also reduces our damage taken. This is on a 5-minute cooldown though, so don't expect to be using it off. Nature's Guardian is our really cheap death that's kind of there but won't always be saving your life, but I figured it would be important for you to know that this talent exists. Shamans are extremely good this season thanks to all the support we bring to the table. Earth Shield you'll cast on yourself and an ally. In Mythic Plus, spending Maelstrom on Healing Surge to keep yourself or a party member alive is massive, and Ancestral Guidance during high group damage phases is huge to boost the healing and support your healer. Poison Cleansing Totem is massive this season to cleanse affixes and all the poisons in the season's dungeons, like in Mist and City of Threads. Cleanse Spirit is massive to help remove curses from the group in dungeons like Grimbatal and Stone Vault. And when it comes to crowd control, well, we got that covered too. Wind Shear is your interrupt on a 15-second cooldown. Cap Totem is our AOE stun, which is great to delay/interrupt some casts. Thunderstorm, which is a knock-up, also great at delaying and interrupting casts as well, and this is an ability you can actually use when you're stunned. And lastly, Sundering, our third great AOE CC option for delaying and interrupting casts. Enhancement is in a great spot this season for Mythic Plus and Raid, making us like that really athletic kid in gym class that you want on your dodgeball team. Basically, what I mean by that is you're pretty much always going to be picked for content. Now, hopefully you learned a thing or two and are now crushing the meters and supporting your team like the little chamois bro you are. If this guide helped you out or left you with a question or two, let me know in the comments below. And the best way to support me and the channel is by punching that like button, kissing that subscribe button, and tickling my bell to stay up to date with future guides and content. If you are itching for some entertaining Mythic Plus content, content, I am currently working on the first episode of Season 3 of my Zero to Hero challenge, where I play a spec I've never played before and pug my way to 3k IO, which with this season is probably going to be hell, so make sure you subscribe so you can watch me lose my sanity, and you can actually check out the season finale of Season 2 right here. And your boy will see you all next time.